Okay, it says that we're live. Let me make sure on my phone that we're actually live. Oh, I see us. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Oops, let me make sure that's in. Okay. Let me close that out because now I can't see. Oh, I can see my own comments. Oops. Okay, perfect. Okay. And I put a mad face on there on accident. Oh well. We are we we are officially live for the Infinite Woman Universe interview show. We are here with Angela Lapin. Let me make sure that's turned down all the way so I don't hear the echo. And Angela Lapin is a DoTerra wellness advocate and educator about natural health. She has a master's degree in health psychology, years of experience as a researcher, and a lifelong passion for healthy living. And she applies all of that knowledge, experience, and passion to helping others find natural solutions to live a healthier, more energetic life. Please welcome Angela Lapin.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. We actually met through a mutual friend, and I think we've been connected for roughly 6 months, I think. And I've just been absolutely fascinated by what you do. And I just think that it's so interesting coming from my place of seeing everything is affected by trauma, everything lives in your body. And then you come from it as an experience of if you smell the essential oils, then we can potentially trigger something that feels good, trigger a good belief, not just be controlled by these triggers of smell or sight and things like that. So I've been absolutely fascinated by what you do. Tell us more about how you got into using essential oils, and then of course using them to help people, trigger good beliefs and trigger good feelings with essential oils.
Okay, well that's like two big questions, but well, you can redirect me if I go too deep or too far off track. So I started using essential oils in January 2015, so just over 8 years ago, and I really have had a lifelong interest in natural health and natural solutions, but oils just weren't on my radar. Even though people around me had them, I didn't know much about them, and so it was more focused on water and exercise and some herbs and some different things. And but when oils came along, it was my daughter, who was 7 or 8 at the time, had been having for a couple of years these like major breakdowns, major, like anytime there was a transition, they needed to do something different, just fall apart. And it was really affecting the whole family. Like, I mean, she would just go so out of control. Her older brother said to me, like, I love her, but keep her away from me. Like, like I don't like being around her. And even her dad, my husband, was, just separating himself. He's like, I can't deal with her because, it triggered him, and he would get angry instead of, handling it as gently as I would want to. So it was really divisive, and it was a problem. And a friend of mine mentioned the oils to me a few times when I would be talking about this, but it just, again, you only have so much bandwidth at once. But finally I did go to a class, and I smelled some of the oils, and I tried some, and it just really all resonated. And I'm not an impulse buyer, and I was like, nope, have to have these. And bought them. And really, we had a 3-day turnaround in what had been going on for over 2 years, where she would just pause and be able to say with words, which is of course what I've been talking to her about doing. And it was wonderful. And then even within a week, she stopped coming into our bed at night. We had done family bed when they were younger, but she was the only one of my three that still came into the bed every night, sometime between midnight and 4 a.m. We didn't mind, but on the other hand, it was nice not getting woken up each night. So it wasn't even something we were trying to do. And she said to me about a month later, she said, I wish I still came to your bed at night, but I just stay asleep. And it was like, and she had always struggled with sleep. So it was wonderful. It was huge. And then from there, just everything we tried them for. So it turns out she has some anxiety. I didn't realize that that's what was happening. She was these anxious feelings, and the oils just really helped with that. And then we just tried them for so many things, warts and heartburns and allergies, because they also help with physical things. And everything that we tried worked. And so like 6 months in, I'm like, everyone that I know needs to know about this. And I started educating people about them because they just were blowing us away. And so remind me your second question. I think it was, go ahead.
Yeah. So the second question is, what made you realize that using the essential oils could then trigger positive beliefs or emotions when they're smelling the oils?
So, as much as I love a little bit of magic here and there and, some crystals and other things, I am really grounded in science. I was trained as a researcher. I've worked at USC Medical School. I've worked at UCSD at the VA. And so I love research. And so I was curious about this too, right? Like it was helping with anxious feelings. They clearly shift your mood. And it turns out that our olfactory nerve, which is in our nose, that's what we smell with, goes right into the limbic system of the brain, which is not only our memory center, but our emotional center. So actually one of the fastest ways that you can shift emotion and have an impact on emotion, and beliefs are tied up in there too, because memory and emotion together, right? Is actually through smell. And most of us have had that experience, because, you smell something and it instantly takes you back to like grandma's kitchen and baking cookies, or you smell something and it reminds you of, a horrible relationship because it's, his cologne, but they're really linked, smell with memory, with emotion, with belief. So that was the first thing. And I started by teaching, classes not only on the physical health benefits, but on emotions and what emotions actually even are in our bodies. Emotions get translated into chemical messengers to the cells, and then bind with cell receptors, and they have effects, right? Which is why, like when we're excited, you actually have a physiological response. Right. When you're sad, you have a physiological response, because they're actually chemical messengers in our body. And essential oils also, they're these tiny molecules that can go and bind with cell receptors. And so they can mitigate even the physiological impact of what's happening, or enhance it depending on what we want. And then it turns out that one of my mentors was, before she came into doTerra, she still is a doctor of Chinese medicine. She's an acupuncturist. And she has been really studying the oils from that perspective, very much, instead of the Western medicine mindset, the Chinese medicine mindset, and using them on different meridians to have different effects. And she developed this class called I Am Fabulous, and I took it with her. And then I just began teaching it right away, because I had an amazing experience, right. And then other people were too. And it's using the oils to very consciously, right? Instead of unconsciously being triggered by these aromas, right, of a cologne or a thing, to choose to use them both for the smell of them and for the actual quality of the oils. Just like they have physiological effects, they have emotional effects. Certain ones help you let go of resentment better, or help you let go of grief, or help you feel more confident. And so you can use them very intentionally, while also, thinking of bringing things to mind, or talking about things, or journaling, to actually work on like limiting beliefs or feelings of overwhelm or your fears or your self-esteem. And so she wrote this class so that others of us could use this and duplicate it, that does exactly that. It uses a series of oils. We talk about these different topics, we apply them, we smell them. And every time I teach it, people just say they feel amazing. And it's called I Am Fabulous. So, how can it not be good?
Right. Well, and actually that's the class that you're going to do at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the date right now, and I don't want to move my phone off the live. So, but that will be the Wednesday that's at the end of the month for the hot seat coaching. So if
the 26th.
Yes. So if anybody is interested in doing that, then make sure you reach out to Angela so that you can get the materials and the oils that go with that hot seat coaching, because then you can feel the shifts and get involved physically and not just watch it mentally. You can have the whole experience. The class is absolutely phenomenal. I loved the class. And I think it does really have powerful results, especially if you have the essential oils on hand. To be able to get the supplies, it's $20. So, and that's all you need to get there. And then the supplies will be sent to you. You can absolutely watch the class without the essential oils, but you can, but having the oils just gives it a little more oomph. So make sure you get involved with that. You check that out and you talk to Angela about that. And
yeah,
I
we'd love for everyone to have the oils. I mean, again, anyone can show up, but to really experience it. So what I do when it's virtual instead of in person is I'll just make little samples of each of the oils that we use, and I'll mail them to you. So the $20, it's not that I'm charging for the class so much, it's just covering the cost of the oils and the bottles and the mailing. But because we want to get them to you in time, ideally, I will get those mailed out at least a week before. So if people want that, please let me know as soon as possible.
Okay, cool. I'm so excited. I'm so ready for that class. I know that we also have the winners from last month to join, so that will be super exciting. But the class is so good, especially as a business owner. If you are struggling with any like limiting beliefs or feeling like you can't get on podcasts and do these things, like she walks you through being able to feel more comfortable speaking up or going on these podcasts, which is absolutely powerful, because sometimes we really do hold ourselves back as entrepreneurs because we're afraid, well, what if I forget my train of thought while I'm in the middle of the interview on the podcast? Or what if I don't know how to answer the questions? Or what if this? And taking that class just totally removes all that and really helps you step into that certainty and that power. So I think that's so great. Like that's one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. And I have been involved in essential oils. Like I used to be a member and I never like really did anything with them, except for I had kits of them and would put them in my bath and like put them on the back of my neck and things like that. And hearing your experience with your daughter really resonates, because I do have a daughter with epilepsy, and for a very long time we deal with outbursts of behavior. Me and her dad are not together, so we have transition issues. And so to hear that as a parent that feels like you just don't know what else to do, and then you're like, okay, we're going to try this. And then there's just that 3-day turnaround. That's so powerful, especially if you're a single mom or you're a working mom or just a mom in general, right? Because to have that disconnect from both her brother and her dad, and you're just the only one there, like, we've got to figure something out, girl. We've got to figure something out. That can be so hard. Have other mothers used oils to help other things, help things like that, and other problem behaviors, I guess you could say?
Yes, I mean, so there are a lot of oils that can help with focus, which is good for for a lot of people. A lot of moms need that either for themselves or their kids. Um, and then there's oils that are like grounding and calming. My kids use oils every night for sleep, to help them wind down. So there are ones that help you relax, get into a restful state. And then, one of my favorite things, like you mentioned, busy mom, and you want to have tools. my whole point is like people just need to have tools at their fingertips, because otherwise we rely on maybe less healthy tools, right? So like, I love pharmaceuticals and Western medicine when we need them. They're, some of them are quite life-saving, and use them when you need them. But my personal approach is always try the natural, gentler option first. And if that works for you, then you don't have to do that, because those all come with side effects. Even, things like Tylenol and Advil that people just pop, like it's nothing because it's over the counter. They don't even need a prescription, but it's causing liver damage, right? And so if you can get rid of that headache naturally, if you can get rid of that, body pain naturally, then, why not do that? And talk more about side benefits of oils. They don't have side effects. But one in particular that comes up for moms, at least, I mean, I had ear infections all the time growing up. I feel like it's a super common kid thing. And ever since having oils, if that comes up with anyone in my house, we just use tea tree and lavender, and you don't have to go anywhere. So they tend to hit in the middle of the night or late at night, and then you're off to urgent care or the emergency room. You get on antibiotics, which mess up your whole, gut biome. So there's not to mention the time and the copay, right? And instead, what we do, and I still occasionally get ear infections, and so it's what I do as well. You can just take a drop of tea tree and rub it around the ear. You don't even put it in. That's going to help with the infection. A drop of lavender helps soothe the discomfort. And usually within a couple of minutes, my kids are back to sleep, and about 3 applications of that, and there's no more ear discomfort. Wow. So very different than the time, the effort, the money, the stress of, whether you have to take time off work or disrupt your sleep to go to the doctor. So it's just really nice. And they can help with, upset stomach, with constipation, with like I already said, pain, allergies. That was my own personal story. So when I first started with oils, they were for everyone else, right? My daughter for this, and my son for this, and my husband for this. And I was probably a few months in when allergies hit, and I had been on. I'm someone who really mostly doesn't take medication. So even when I would have a headache, I'd go 3 or 4 days, being like, well, maybe I just need more sleep. Maybe I, need more water. Maybe I like do those things before I would consider taking anything. But I was on allergy medicine around the clock, like 8 months out of the year. And I hated being on it, but that my eyes itched so bad and my nose ran constantly and I sneezed constantly. I couldn't function. I have not had an allergy pill in over 8 years, because peppermint, lemon, and lavender oil taken together, I just put them in a shot glass of water, swish it around, swallow it, and almost instant relief. Like, so that's what I use. And what's been interesting, I don't know if it's using those oils specifically that soothes the allergies at the time, or if it's because I also use DoTerra, the oils that I use. And they also have really high quality whole food supplements, which I also take. But after about 2 years on using both the oils and the supplements, my allergies went from bothering me like 8 months out of the year to down to about 3 months out of the year.
Wow.
So I don't even need to use the oils as often, which is often actually how I describe the supplements. I'm like, start with the supplements, give your body what it actually needs, and then you will find that you don't have as many aches and pains, and maybe you're sleeping better, and maybe you don't feel as anxious. Maybe your hormones aren't as out of control, because there's also oils that help with hormone balance. So yeah, it's really, so like for teenage daughters, it's amazing to have.
Okay, noted.
You start noticing those hormonal mood swings and things as young as like 9 or 10.
Yeah, I believe it.
Started on the hormone balancing ones. Like, we don't need that.
So that's so funny that you say that, because sometimes when you have kids, you say, oh, they're 9 going on 17, and they just have that energy or that vibe of like they're just going to take over the world with their little their little 5-year-old attitude, but they're walking around like they're 17.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's a real thing. I mean, the behind the scenes changes, the hormonal changes
Yeah.
start before you see, the physical signs of
Yeah.
puberty. But
Yeah.
you sense it in their
Yeah.
attitude.
Yes, I feel like that's so true. And I feel like and it's interesting that we're talking about it, because sometimes if I know I'm going to start my period, my daughter will start acting up. And someone was telling me that even though she's not anywhere near any of those changes happening, they will start to sync up with your cycle and have mood swings and things like that. And I'm like, no, we can't have this at the same time.
I, my middle daughter and I are very synced with our cycles, and yeah, it's funny. Okay.
I have a question, and I feel like this is super important because we are so conditioned in our Western society to use the doctor for everything, to go to the emergency room if something happens. When people come up with that resistance and they tell you, well, I can't use essential oils because, we're taking this medication, or my doctor says they don't work, or, that's just a bunch of woo woo BS. What do you say to people?
Well, first of all, I'm a big proponent of everyone should do what they're comfortable with, right? I'm not telling anyone. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not prescribing, and I'm not telling them what to do. But my personal philosophy is we are the only ones responsible for our own bodies, and while we have minor children, for them. And so doctors, I look at, I hire them. They work for me. They don't get to tell me what to do. They get to advise me because they have amazing training, and they're actually great diagnosticians. So I actually go to the doctor more now since having these tools than I did before, because before I'm like, why do I want to go to the doctor? I'm not going to do what they want me to do. I'm not going to take, the antibiotic for this or whatever.
Right.
So I didn't bother going. Now I'm like, I have tools. I have oils that are antibacterial. I have oils that are antiviral. I have oils that are anti-inflammatory. I have, like all these things. So let me go and let them do what they do. I don't know what I have, right? They know what I mean. With an ear infection, I do, or strep throat or something. But if I don't know, I go to the doctor in a second and I let them diagnose me, and then I can make an informed decision on, do I want to go the route they're suggesting? Do I want to try something else? Do I want to do both? Or, often what I do is I'll get the prescription from the doctor, and I'll tell myself I'm going to give it a day or two with the oils. But if I start feeling worse, I have the prescription, right, and I can go get it. So that's my personal one, is I try the natural first, but I want to know what I have. And I actually had, when was it? It was the November before the pandemic. I can't think of year. So when would that have been, like 2019 or something?
Yeah.
I had this excruciating pain in my head, and I could not imagine what it was. Like, I thought, I have a brain tumor and I'm dying immediately. And I am not a hypochondriac. But this was, I never felt anything like it. And I think I might have had a fever, and then I had a few little bumps or blisters. I had no idea what this was. So I suffered for about a day or two. And then when I described to someone what I was feeling, actually my husband, he's like, why aren't you at the doctor? I'm like, because what could this be? Like, sometimes I forget this is what they do, is diagnose. To me, it felt like this random combination of things going on that nobody would know what it was, right? It was just so random. They didn't seem connected. I go to the doctor within 2 minutes. She's like, you have shingles. She knew exactly what I had.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, yes, this is why I come to the doctor. It was perfect. And then, of course, she went on to say how I absolutely have to take this antiviral medication. And if I don't, the nerve that was affected for me was the one that kind of comes through here. And she's like, if the virus spreads into your eye, you can have blindness. You have to take this. and they pressure you somehow.
Yeah.
And so I even with years of experience already at that point, I was like, I sat down in the waiting room after I left, and like I said, I always get the prescription, but I called sort of my support team, my mentors, and I was like, I have antiviral oils. Like, this is not I'm not dying, right? Like, I'm not
Right.
going to go blind. And I had to get reassurance from them, which I always tell my customers, like, text me anytime. You can text me, And sure enough, she had explained to me what my experience would be like with the antivirals, how I would get more lesions, more blisters over the next day or two. The pain could still worsen. But after about 36 hours or so, I would start improving, and it would take a couple of weeks to completely go away. I went home. I started a pretty intense protocol with oils and supplements. I didn't get a single other lesion.
Wow.
My pain never got worse. It did take about 24 hours to go down, but it never got any worse. I didn't get another single lesion, and within a few days,
Mhm.
I was feeling almost completely normal. It took about 2 weeks for everything to like clear up, like blisters to disappear, but
Right.
no pain after a couple of days, and didn't feel like I was sick. So I'm like, my experience was better than what she told me to expect. But I
Right.
needed her for the diagnosis. But
Right.
again, people have to do what they're comfortable with, right?
Right.
So if their trust is all in Western medicine and the pharmaceuticals, I would just encourage them to, actually understand what the side effects are and what their other options are.
Right.
I don't see oils I don't believe in a magic bullet. Everyone wants the one thing that's going to solve everything,
Right.
make it easy and make them completely healthy, and it doesn't exist. Um, and so to me, they're just a tool that I love to
Right.
have in the house, quickly available. And it's the thing I will try, but I also might use acupuncture or massage or
Right. Right. Right.
and I view food as medicine.
Right.
I'm very big into nutrition, and so that's always part of my arsenal too.
Right. Right. All
And
of
then,
it. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and had I gotten worse with the oils, if it wasn't doing it, I would have gone and filled that prescription, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that people tend to forget that, just because the doctor prescribes doesn't mean that we can't use these other tools. And there are other tools available to us. A lot of it is about what we put into our body. A lot of it is about, the food and our stress. And, a lot of it has to do with gut health and everything else. And then our trauma plays a role into it. And so I think that we tend to forget that, just because the doctor prescribes the pill doesn't mean that we don't have to take care of ourselves. So even if you were totally involved in Western medicine and that's your solution for everything, that's completely fine. But you also have to keep in mind that the food that you put into your body matters, the supplements that you put into your body matters, the TV that you watch matters, the people that you're around matters, the things that you're consuming on social media, like all of that plays a role in our health. And I think that we tend to forget that it all plays a role. It's all cohesive. It all goes together. So even if you use the Western medicine though all the time and that's what you use, we have to keep in mind that, just because the doctor prescribes the medication doesn't mean that the medication is going to give you everything that you're looking for if you're not also taking care of these other parts of your body and your
And
life.
yeah, it is so important, right? Everything that you said, it's everything we consume, not just food, but people and television, and so, like, everything we consume is affecting us. Um, and so just being mindful of it, not again, I mean, we all have different personalities. So some people hear that and it causes a lot of anxiety, and I never want to be doing that. It's just being mindful, right? Just making intentional choices and figuring that, like, wherever you're at now is where you're at and where you've probably been for a while, you don't have to change everything all at once. You can change one thing, right? You can maybe watch less news or unfollow social media that makes you feel bad about yourself or that is triggering to you, or, just different.
Right.
You can do small changes,
Right.
increase your water intake if you're someone who doesn't drink much water, so small things will make a difference over time. You just kind of keep building and adding to it. But I did want to address one other part of the question you asked before, which is what if your doctors tell you oils don't work? Because they will. I mean, not all. There's actually many doctors and nurses who work with doTerra, and there are hospitals that use them. There's even I think it's in Michigan. There's an ambulance company that they were finding that the paramedics and the ambulances were giving too much pain med and anxiety med, so that when the patient showed up at the ER, it was interfering with what the doctors wanted to do there. So they now offer essential oils as their first choice, because it can help with those anxious feelings or even with pain, right? And you can do this gentler approach. Hospitals are offering it for preoperative anxiety, things like that. But most doctors, the vast majority, have zero knowledge of essential oils. So doctors, and I have many doctor friends, and I've confirmed this with them. I mean, because we all do this. You're trained in what you're trained in, and that's what you know, and that's what you believe. So if you need a solution from a doctor, it's going to be what that doctor was trained in, right? Just like if you go to a surgeon, their solution is almost always going to be surgery, because that's how they deal with things. Whereas you might go to, a physical therapist, and they're like, oh, you don't need surgery on this. I think we can, exercise it. So everyone has their specialty. Go to them for what they know about. But the truth is, they just don't know about essential oils. Unfortunately, they don't even know about nutrition. Most doctors had one nutrition class or one lecture. Many don't attend it. I have friends who did that. And you will still find doctors who will tell you that what you eat has no effect on your health, which is mind-blowing that they could even think that. It is the fuel for your body, for your organs, for your, it's crazy. But it's because, again, it's not what they're trained in. They're just looking at the mechanics of the body, and they're very well trained on how pharmaceuticals affect things, because that is their specialty, right? And again, we need that, right? There are times we absolutely need that. So it's just, knowing who to go to about things. I was very lucky. My kids had a pediatrician for years who was very familiar with essential oils. And so literally, we'd go in and she would diagnose something for one of them, and, and give a prescription of antibiotic. And I would say, well, I'm going to try tea tree and oregano first. She goes, oh, those are great choices. Yeah, give them a try. If you're not seeing improvement in a couple of days, fulfill this. That was really validating and rewarding to have. But most of the time, we just don't have that. So it's you being informed and you making the decision that's best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so important, especially, I mean, just as a human being in general, but especially as a parent, because, sometimes you feel like you are at the mercy of the doctor who is caring for your child, where you feel helpless and you don't know what to do for your child. And you're asking the doctor for questions, or you're asking the doctor about what to do. And so you have to trust the doctor. But if you're also not educated, or don't stand strong in your beliefs, or you can easily be persuaded a certain way, even though you may not know that, or it may not necessarily be what the right path is. And so education for yourself is one of the most critical things that you can do. And I know that when I actually just went to the doctor because I've been having terrible periods again. And so I told them, you guys need to check my hormones. We need to do this. What is going on? This was supposed to end. You guys told me this was supposed to end after I had my daughter. We're 4 years in now. What's going on? And so they checked everything. And when I told the doctor, I was like, I need you guys to check everything, but I'm not going on birth control anymore. I was like, I'm not taking it. I was like, there's nothing wrong with it. People use it. That's fine. I was like, but it doesn't work for me anymore. And I'm not putting that stuff in my body anymore. I'm just not.
Right.
And so when I came back and everything was clear, like there was nothing. I didn't even have like deficiency in vitamin D, and they said most humans do. And I was just like, well, obviously I'm okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can give you birth control to fix your period. And I was like, I'll figure something else out. Like I'll figure something else out. Like I'm not
And
doing
there are
this.
oils that can help with head movement.
I was just going to ask that. We could take that offline though, because that's a really
Yes.
specific question.
Right.
But like, let's say someone wanted to get into the oils or start using them. Like, which oils do you recommend the most to people that are just getting started?
So it really depends on how they're coming. So if they're coming for a specific problem, you know, the way they're going to build belief and trust in the oils and start trusting themselves is to make sure we're addressing that specific problem, right? Not just get this broad array of oils. So if they have a specific issue, we're going to go with those oils. But for people who are just, they just want to have the tools on hand and they want to have a natural lifestyle, we have what we kind of call like foundational oils, in depending on which ones you include in there, like 10 to 13 or so oils. And some of these are available in starter kits at a discounted price from buying them individually. But you can, just buy them over time, however you want to do it. But the lovely thing about them, if people have these oils, that's why I like that they're in starter kits, then, when they call and they say, I know mostly I was talking to you about, my upset stomach, and this, but I remember you said that oils could help even if you felt yourself getting a cold or something. Like, what can I take for that? If they've only bought the digestion medicine or the oil, sorry, misspoke, then I can't help them, right? And so, because that happens all the time. People will buy an oil, but they came to a class and they learned about all these things, and then they're like, well, what do I use for that? And I'm like, not the one you have, right? So you can, with the combination of, and what's in there is like some really basic ones that most people are familiar with, like lemon, peppermint, lavender, tea tree, which is also known as melaleuca. People usually hear it as one or the other, frankincense. And then doTerra has some specific blends as well that they combine oils for specific uses. So there's something called Breathe that's great respiratory support. On Guard, which is immune support. Digest Zen, which is, for digestion. So this group of oils will really, like, you could do some combination of those oils. Oregano is in there too, to handle most anything that comes up. Again, it might not be the best, right? Like, there's a headache blend called Past Tense, which is amazing. But if you don't have that yet, just in that starter set of oils, you can put frankincense, lavender, and peppermint together, and that will relieve a lot of people's head tension. So I love sort of just getting people that foundational set. They can slowly build from there. Because like I was really happy when I had shingles that I have all the oils, right? Which because salicylic oil isn't going to be in any starter set, and that's the super strong antiviral. But for most other things, if I feel like I have a virus or a bacterial thing, I'm using oregano and tea tree, and those are in that set. So that's great. We have an oil that we have only had for a few years now, so it's not in most of the starter sets, but that I would add to that, which is copaiba. It's amazing. It's a lot like frankincense in that they both really affect almost every system of the body. And so they can be really useful to have. And then I would add to that a couple of the emotional oils. So like Balance, which is why I say I take it up to like 13. Balance is a combination of a lot of wood oils, which are just really grounding and calming. So it's one that I always say, if everyone would just use Balance every day, the world would be such a nicer place. Because it's like, everyone says like you want to respond instead of react. You want to take. And when I started with oils, I was definitely having some like exaggerated mood swings in my 40s, which is interesting because now here I am still not in menopause, but I had like perimenopausal symptoms back then. I don't even have those now. And I had tried different herbal things and they weren't helping. The oils did help, thank goodness. But at the moment when I started, I was actually pretty moody. And I'm no, I should like pause beforehand, but I don't want to. I'm angry at that, and balance like gives you that pause. Like it just allows you. And it was one of the oils that helped my daughter as well. Like it's like, it just slows things down a little bit for you. So yeah, I would include, a couple of oils for emotional support as well in the foundation.
There's just all of this is just so fascinating to hear that there's certain things that will help with ground you so that you're pausing instead of reacting. There's certain things that will help you with viral infections and bacterial infections and just things that we deal with on a regular basis that really it's accessible. Like that's completely accessible to you and to the people around you. So that's just, it's so good to be able to have such a tool in your pocket so that it is helping you ground yourself. It's helping you deal with anxiety. It's helping you find a natural way to like deal with heavy periods or periods that don't feel good, things like that, right? It's so accessible. And I think that that's so powerful because I do feel like we are shifting into a more holistic approach in our health. And I feel like this will really be the forefront to push us in that direction more and more, especially as people are looking for more holistic options. And we can sit here and talk about this all day, but I do want you to share with people how they can get a hold of you, like any social media, your website. And what I'll do is I'll drop all the links in here as soon as we get off, but go ahead and let them know how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. So my website is plantmagic.com, but it's spelled PLANT, plant, but magic is MAGYK. So plantmagic.com is my website. I am not yet on social media with my business. I am just on there personally on Instagram and Facebook, and I really don't post a lot. But Facebook, the reason I got on there, I was never even on there until I started my business, is because it is a great way to support customers. So I do have a Thriving with Oils community that has always been exclusive to our customers, but we're actually just about to transition to making it open. So I will share that link as soon as I have it, because I did want to make the point, we talked about that it's on people to like be educated about things, but that can feel daunting, especially if you're a mom or you're a businesswoman or you're whatever. Like, I don't have time to learn this. It sounds great, but I can't learn it. So I do teach, intro classes. Of course, that's how most people get started, is either coming to a class or we just sit down individually and do sort of a mini class, which we can do in person or on Zoom, so it can be anywhere in the world. And then, I do ongoing continuing education classes on various topics. And we have this Facebook group that, supports them. And I think I showed the name. It's Thriving with Oils. So that will be public shortly. And then also, I always encourage my customers to reach out to me directly, just like I sat in that waiting room and reached out to people. Sometimes you just need, especially the first month or two you're using oils, that you really get the hang of it so quickly. They're very intuitive. But when you're first starting and you've never done it, I did that with my friend that enrolled me. I just constantly was like, what do you say? What did you say I use for headache? How many drops should I put in this diffuser? What am I, and then the questions just dwindle away because you get the hang of it. So no one is on their own learning it. But the website is the best way to reach me, or I like to just give people my email and phone number because that's how I still do things. So you can call or text or email. So it's Angela at plantmagic.com, spelled the same way. And my phone number is 619-606-1933, which I know is unusual, but people giving out their phone number. But again, I'm available for that. And I would love to hear from anyone who wants to participate in our I Am Fabulous class so I can get them the oils on time, or just if you have any questions or want to come to a class.
Awesome. Awesome. What I'll do is I'll be sure to, when we go into the comments, I will leave both your phone number and your email and your website. And then also I have the request form that if anybody wants to be able to get free samples and connect with you, that way they can do that. And if anybody is interested in the I Am Fabulous class, you can either reach out to Angela or you can reach out to me, and then we can get you connected and get you going with that so that you have the oils for April 26th, which is the I Am Fabulous class that she's talking about. So we'll make sure that you have all the oils and everything that you need for that. And so that you can get connected to Angela and learn more about her area of expertise in using essential oils to just really enrich your lives and create a holistic health benefit for you. So make sure you connect with her if you're interested in that. And Angela, thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate you being here. Next week, we will have virtual networking, so I'll leave the link so you can get involved with that as well. But Angela, again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Bye, everybody.